I'm Alex Michaelson. This week, the issue is impeachment inquiry.
Impeachment for that?
Democrats open up an official inquiry, but will any Republicans join in? Mark Sanford is a Republican running against President Trump for president. The former South Carolina governor and congressman is here. Plus,
I have that voice in the back of my head that says to me, if not you, then who? It's there.
Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura gives his first American TV interview in 3 years to us. He talks about his potential presidential run. Then,
the issue is to make our country better.
An exclusive interview with the Prime Minister of Armenia during his historic trip to California. He's clearly on brand. The issue is starts right now. And welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Alex Michaelson. We continue our series with the presidential candidates this week. Mark Sanford is a former governor and congressman from South Carolina. He's now running for president as a Republican against President Trump. Welcome to The Issue Is.
Pleasure.
Great to have you here.
Treat to be here.
All right, so let's talk about the big story of the week, of course, is this impeachment inquiry against President Trump. We have now seen this transcript of him asking for help from Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden, his opponent, potentially.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Real problem. I think the president's crossed a line that we've not seen previously in the 200 plus years of our country's history. The idea of going to a sitting attorney general, asking them to aid a foreign government in the investigation of a domestic foe is new ground. And I think we all ought to be unsettled by it, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Does he deserve to be impeached?
I don't want to prejudge the process. I mean, I believe fundamentally, this is one of the problems with the Trump administration, is we're having a tearing down of institutions and norms in our country. So I don't want to prejudge the process, but what I would say is Republicans need to treat Democrats the same way that they treat a Republican and vice versa. And it's become so partisan where everybody just simply circles the wagons around the team that they're on. I think if it was Obama, you'd hear a lot of Republicans speaking out real loud and clear.
You know, you have a very unique perspective on this because you were a part of Congress that impeached Bill Clinton.
Correct.
You were part of this Republican Congress not that long ago until you were essentially primaried by President Trump.
Correct.
And now you're running against President Trump. So you see things from a lot of different angles here.
That's the tip of the iceberg. There are more angles than that, but anyway,
What do you think it would take for Republicans to break against President Trump? Because when you did, it didn't necessarily work out for you politically.
No, and a lot of people have taken the cues from my primary race and saying, I don't want to end up where you ended up. I don't know. I mean, the president's the one who said I could shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue and people would basically still be a fan. What I believe is there's an economic value proposition with the Trump presidency wherein people say, I don't approve of his behavior. I was just in cornfields in Iowa. People speak out against where he comes from in terms of tone, tear down institutions, trade. But there's a value proposition, which is they believe that the economy is based on some of what he's done. Inasmuch as that holds, he'll hold. But the moment the economy tips south, I think the value proposition goes out the window, and as does his political prospects.
So you were there, as I said, for Bill Clinton's impeachment in 1998. A lot of people now think the Republicans maybe went too far in that process and it ended up hurting them politically.
It absolutely did, which is why I think Pelosi has been reticent.
What were the lessons, the big takeaways you took from that process, reflecting on it now? And was it correct to even go forward with that process?
I don't know. It's everybody becomes a big fan of the rule of law and a very legalistic reading of the rule of law when they're on the opposite side of the equation. And so I think Republicans were guilty of that. Democrats may prove guilty of that. What I believe is that the American electorate wants to be the decider of elections. And so impeachment is a very, very fragile spot to be in because fundamentally you're saying we're going to change the election. I think that this is why Tulsi Gabbard has spoken out passionately as a Democrat against the impeachment process, believing, wait a minute, this will all sort itself out here in a matter of months with the presidential election.
But speaking of presidential elections, letting the voters decide, you want the voters to decide to elect you the president of the United States. I'll ask you the same question I've asked every other presidential candidate. Why you?
because we're walking our way toward the most predictable financial crisis in the history of our country, and nobody is even talking about it. So I think that we need to have a conversation, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, on our country's finances and where we're headed with them. I think we need to have a conversation about whether we're inward versus outward looking. One of my great concerns about the Trump presidency is increasingly we look inward, but what's made us strong really since the time of World War II is an outward focus with regard to trade and other. I think that the president has been tearing down institutions. When he goes and says that the chairman of the Federal Reserve is, quote, basically an enemy of the state, you are dumbing down and degrading institutions that have been the glue that have held our balance of power in place for more than 200 years. And finally, I think the president's making real mistakes with regard to tone. I saw it in the congressional district that I used to represent. We're in for 50 years, it's been a Republican district. It went Democrat for the first time, largely based on soccer moms, working moms, young millennials saying, enough of this, I'm out of this.
So what specifically do we cut?
Well, first of all, you have to recognize that you have a problem. As to what I'd cut, I'd begin with the penny plan. It's something I authored when I was in Congress. If we all got in the boat together and said, would you give a penny out of every dollar of federal benefit that you got if everybody else was doing the same? Now, as long as you're keeping your stuff and I'm giving up mine, forget it, not a chance. But if we all got in the boat together, I think we'd get there.
Let's have a little bit of fun.
Sure.
Okay. So we do something on this show called the Name Game. This is where we get to hear from Beyonce, who I know is one of your favorites,
Yeah.
and we show up some of the names of some of the top political figures, and we try to get one word to that comes to mind when you hear their names. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
President Donald Trump.
Worrisome.
Vice President Mike Pence.
Sycophant.
Former President Barack Obama.
Regal in the way, elegant, I'd say.
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
Working man.
Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi.
Shrill.
Former Speaker of the House John Boehner.
Cigar smoking.
A lot of smoking with John Boehner. Let's play one more game. This is called Personal Issues. This is where we get to know you as a person a little bit better. 30 seconds on the clock. All right, here we go. You ready? What's your favorite TV show?
I don't really watch TV.
Favorite book?
I'm reading Steve Jobs' book now.
It's a great book. Dine in or take out?
A lot of takeout.
Favorite candy?
M&M's, the peanut ones.
Favorite liberal?
I can find one.
We'll move on.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Favorite nickname?
My name is Mark. I go by, my real name is actually Marshall.
Really?
Yeah.
Southern thing. Who's your role model?
My dad.
Why is that?
He got Lou Gehrig's disease when I was in high school. They gave him a couple of months to live, and he fought it for 6 years and was absolutely elegant and regal in the way that he made that last stand in life.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm sorry for his loss, but thank you for saying that. We like to play some music on the show, too. Okay. So I picked a song for you. This is called South Carolina Low Country. It's by an artist named Josh Turner. So I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but it's all about your hometown.
Neat.
Yeah. Thank you very much for being here, Governor. Up next, a very different view from a very different kind of former governor. Jesse Ventura is with us for one of the wildest interviews I've ever done. Have that next. Governor Sanford, thanks again.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Have you heard this before?
I have not, but my boys, my youngest son loves music.
You're watching The Issue Is.
And we welcome the former governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura, is with us on The Issue Is. He currently hosts a show called The World According to Jesse. That is on RT America every Friday. His latest book is called Jesse Ventura's Marijuana Manifesto: How Lies, Corruption, and Propaganda Kept Cannabis Illegal. Jesse Ventura, welcome to The Issue Is.
Great to be here.
Good to have you here. All right, let's start our conversation by talking about President Trump. Sort of, how do you view him right now? What's your take on the Trump administration?
Well, when I won my election in '98, he immediately came there. And he pretty well used a lot of our playbook to accomplish what he did. And I'll state that by, instead of doing fundraisers, he did rallies. That's what I did. I only raised $300,000 to be governor of Minnesota.
Wow.
And I actually made more money doing the job than I spent to get it. No one can say that but me. But anyway, he learned that from us. And but today, I don't like him at all. I would much prefer Donald Trump, the con man real estate guy, rather than Donald Trump, who I now view as the con man president. As an individual person, I found him very nice. But I'm talking now as my president, my commander-in-chief, this guy who claims to have had bone spurs, got out of the Vietnam War because of it, and he's now the commander-in-chief of all the military, and then says, he made the statement too, I could have been a general. He couldn't even do one day a boot camp to be a private. And I'll speak to this. Every enlisted guy in the nation who's ever gone to boot camp, I don't care what service it is, the first night at boot camp, there's one person there who will break down, wet their pants, cry for their mom, and throw tantrums. The authorities will come in the middle of the night, they'll remove that person. You'll never hear or see, or you never know what happened to them. Donald Trump would have been that person.
Okay, so are you done with politics, and is there a part of you that wants to run against him?
I worked in a unique place in the military, and my unit, we always survived on the element of surprise. And politics, that will apply to that too. The only way the country's going to get reunited is to elect an independent president.
So if it's not you, then who is it?
I don't know.
So then do you feel a need to do it in order to serve your country?
I have that voice in the back of my head that says to me, if not you, then who? It's there.
Yeah.
It's there. But whether I do it, I'm 68 now. Do I really want to spend and have to do this? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know right now. I'll go to Mexico this winter. I'll live off the grid for 3 months. You thought it was hard to find me now. Try finding me there. And it'll be at that time I will come to some decision.
Let's talk about some of the issues.
Sure.
Marijuana. You wrote a whole book about marijuana legalization.
Yep.
Some of the presidential candidates now calling for marijuana legalization. What do you see as the biggest impediment to that happening, and do you think that that is something that will happen within the next 10, 15 years?
So. I sure hope so, because I'm going to tell you a story that I have not told on public, but I have permission to do so. Cannabis gave me my life back. My life was gone. It was destroyed. Not me personally. My wife of 44 years, the First Lady of Minnesota, developed late life seizure disorder. She was put on 4 different kinds of seizure medication by pharma, one after the other. None of them worked. All had horrible side effects. In desperation, we drove to Colorado. I had friends there. We got the drops under the tongue. I can happily say today, now she can get it in Minnesota under the medical baloney, but she now has been seizure-free for 4 years and is completely weaned off all pharma, and cannabis did this. So you can tell my passion. I came out and said this. I think the people that outlawed cannabis all these years from us, they should go to jail.
Something from your past is the WWE, which is about to debut right here on Fox.
Yeah.
What do you make of wrestling today? And is there any part of you that wants to do that again?
Never.
Yeah.
The business has changed. It's like anything. I'm the older style. Where it's going to head to, I'm not involved anymore. I don't watch it because it has changed from when I was there, and I liked our style better.
Let's do something called the name game. This is where
you better get your sensor.
Okay. This is where we say some names of high-profile people and get your reaction to them.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
President Donald Trump.
Draft-dodging coward.
Vice President Mike Pence.
Mike, what would Jesus do on that southern border?
Current House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
Haven't really paid attention to. I guess I'd say calculating about her.
Let's do one other thing to get to know you a little bit better. This is called Personal Issues. This is where we put 30 seconds on the clock, and we get to know you a little bit better. You ready?
Okay.
Favorite book?
Favorite book of all time, Helter Skelter by Vincent Bugliosi.
Favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday, I'd say the 4th of July.
Favorite nickname?
For me, the body.
Favorite meal?
Rigatoni.
Favorite sports team?
Sports team, I would probably say the Minnesota Lynx.
Favorite Disney movie?
I don't know if you got to give me some options on that. I don't even know.
You're a big fan of The Lion King, right?
Old Yeller. Was that? I saw that as a kid. Was that a Disney?
I don't know. We'll say it was.
Old Yeller.
And your favorite song, I know this is a complicated thing, but we're going to go with one of your choices, which, let's play it right now. Simple Man. Why is this your choice?
Well, because it's me. A lot of people have said to me, you're hardly a simple man because look at your career. All the things you've done. You've changed career. You've been an actor. You've been talk radio. You've been a governor. You've been a mayor. You've been in the military. But I relate to simple man because really through all that, I am still very simple. There's right and wrong. There's good and bad. And I try to keep life that way. And there's a simple way that I live. And it's politically too. And that's this. And that's probably why I can't be president. Because if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
Well,
I try to live by that.
You've done everything, and now you've done The Issue Is.
There we go.
So thank you for being here. And if you run for president, come back and join us.
Oh, I certainly will.
Yeah.
I imagine you'll welcome me back.
Yes, exactly. Jesse, the governor, the body, Ventura. Great to have him here. More of The Issue Is right after this. We're going to rock out a little. Thank you so much for doing that. Welcome back. This week, the Armenian Prime Minister attracted a giant crowd for his historic visit. He sat down for an exclusive interview with just one station. Nikol Pashinyan is celebrated by thousands in downtown LA. It's his first trip as Armenian Prime Minister to a city that's home to more Armenians than any other in the world outside of Armenia. He speaks exclusively with us. What's your main message to the people of California, the people of America?
I would like to make more aware American people what happened in Armenia, because it was a triumph for democracy.
The documentary I Am Not Alone tells the story of Pashinyan's unlikely rise from journalist to opposition leader to majority leader. In the process, he was jailed twice. In 2018, he led what's known as the Velvet Revolution, ousting a regime widely seen as corrupt.
Important feature of our nation to fight until the end for truth, for justice.
Distinguished members of the business community of California.
At a business symposium in Burbank, the Prime Minister is selling potential investors on his country's growing tourism, agriculture, and tech sectors.
Get richer and make Armenia richer.
Kim Kardashian West, whose family is Armenian, is expected to visit the WCIT Tech Conference this fall.
She supports Armenia and Armenians. It is very important for us.
Hello, Mr. Gump.
Hello.
Pashinyan says he's a fan of American pop culture overall. What's your favorite American movie?
Maybe Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Do you have a favorite American actor or actress?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. You're sticking with this Forrest Gump thing.
Armenia, united, will never be divided.
He's aware of the massive demonstrations in Southern California every year to mark the Armenian genocide. He says he hasn't had a chance to speak with President Trump yet about why the U.S. doesn't officially recognize that genocide.
Inevitably, and the United States will recognize Armenian genocide. I'm not sure about the concrete time, but I'm sure that that will happen.
In the meantime, he says he's focused on building a peaceful future.
It was very important to having to fulfilling this revolution without major violence.
Right. Democracy is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And for the Prime Minister, we're playing the theme to Forrest Gump. Up next, one last word about this week and a preview of next week. We'll be right back. Your thoughts on the transcript? Your thoughts on the transcript? Your thoughts on health care?
Do you now support impeachment?
Your thoughts on the weather?
The weather's good. See you guys later. The transcripts are very revealing.
What is it revealed to you? Tried really, really hard to get the vice president to say something. I guess the weather line worked. Next week, he and every leading Democratic presidential candidate will be in California for an SEIU conference, and we will be there. We'll also be here for a special conversation about sports and politics with Ben Lyons and the LA Times' Arash Markazi. We end with some new music from Lil Nas X. This song is called Panini. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching The Issue.
Hey Panini, don't you be a meanie, thought you